A big thanks to Burnhard for sponsoring this video.
This meat is by many considered to be waste, but in reality, it's one of the tastiest things you can make on a barbecue. Morrison, my cameraman, told me he was very hungry. So I got him a big platter of meat. Well, actually, a friend of mine showed up from Van de Zee Butchers and he brought me this big pile of rib fingers. You might be thinking, well, rib fingers? What is rib fingers? Well, if you have the belly of the beef and you have the ribs laying in the belly meat, they separate the ribs. And then you get one of these beautiful tomahawks with the bones sticking out. Then you need to think of what is in between the bones. Well, this is in between the bones. It sits in between your beautiful tomahawks and is considered to be waste. But it's not. In reality, this is one of the tastiest things you can make on a barbecue. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, the fun part about barbecuing is creating things. And amongst creating things is creating your own rub recipe. Now, of course, I know there's a lot of stuff you can buy. You can buy AP rubs, you can buy basic barbecue rubs and mix them together and do all kinds of crazy things. But what if I tell you that it's a lot cheaper to do it yourself? Buy these things in big jars like this and then create your own barbecue rubs by mixing things up. Save a lot of money, have a lot of fun, and it all starts with a little bit of salt. This is 2 large tablespoons of fine table salt, a large tablespoon of paprika powder, a large tablespoon of onion powder, and now you created the basic of a mix. If you stop here, you're going to have a great barbecue rub. But of course, I want to add more flavor to it. So I'm adding chili flakes. I'm going to add a tablespoon of them, and that's going to make this rub exciting and spicy. Of course, if you don't want your rub to be exciting and spicy, then don't add it, or add a little less if you're afraid of the spicy part. Now I'm going to add some garlic. And with garlic, you want to go less. More is less because granulated garlic is very overpowering. So I'm going to use 1/4 of the amount that I used in the onion and paprika powder. And then I'm going to add ginger, and ginger makes everything fresh and exciting. So that's why I'm going to use a large tablespoon again. Now I'm going to mix that up. And that's how you create a beautiful, tasty barbecue rub. And if you want to make sure that you got all the flavors and you got all the things that you want in there, you have it, then you can perform a little taste test. And that's exactly the reaction that you need out of a rub. It needs to be exciting, it needs to be overpowering, it needs to grab you by the
face and shake you around.
And if you don't have that, then your rub's no good. But if you have it, you're creating something amazing. Now, if you want to read what I just did, go to our website, PitmasterX.com. This is my little shaker jar that I made out of a Nutella jar. And here I have a cap with some holes in it that I'm going to use as a shaker. And I'm going to shake it all onto these beautiful rib fingers and make sure I coat them heavily with this barbecue rub. Now I got my rib fingers all seasoned up and I'm gonna give this a little time for it to mix together. The rub's gotta penetrate the meat, it's gotta draw out the moisture, and it's gonna be one big happy party. And in the meantime, I'm gonna fire up my Burnhard pellet smoker. Now, a Burnhard pellet smoker is a beautiful thing because it allows me to smoke all that meat with that giant surface. Basically, it's perfect for barbecue because we wanna feed a lot of people. But there's a thing about pellet grills that you need to know about. When you're cooking on high temperatures, it doesn't produce as much smoke as it does on lower temperatures. So with my ribs, even though they're fatty and they're really strong and solid, I want to go at a low temperature. So I'm going to turn it on at a temperature of 120 degrees Celsius. And this is going to give me a maximum amount of smoke flavor. Of course, I want to check my pellet hopper to see if I have sufficient pellets. And as you can see, I still have a lot left. However, I think it's going to take around 3 to 4 hours to cook these rib fingers. So I'm going to add a little bit more pellets. You never want to overfeed your barbecue, any barbecue for that matter. Don't put in too much charcoal, don't put in too many pellets, just don't put in too much fuel because this is better stored in a dry, cool place where it doesn't absorb moisture. Whereas our barbecue might be standing outside for a little while, and it might be the situation that the pellets might get moist. You want that nice blue smoke. The white smoke has gone, so it's time to put that beautiful beef on our smoker. I'm gonna place it directly over the dripping tray, because that dripping tray is going to make sure that these ribs do not burn or dry out. It's basically the indirect version of cooking on a pellet smoker.
Does it fit?
Of course, it's always going to fit. The question is, can you eat it all, Morrison? Let's see about that. Now see, I missed a little bit of pieces of meat that could do with a little bit of extra seasoning. We don't want to miss out on the opportunity to season everything to the max. All that beautiful beef's got to be covered. We're now an hour in the cook, and if you look at these beautiful things, they picked up a lot of smoke color, and at the same time they dried up on the top side. But if we flip one around, I can see that they're juicy, but they still need to build up that crust. So I'm gonna flip all of them around. They're starting to look really good already. They have beautiful color, they're nice and juicy, but they're still not tender. So I'm gonna let these continue to cook until they start turning soft. Because there's one last thing to do, and that's make a basting sauce. And why not make two good things in one? A cocktail basting sauce. Starting with a glass of whiskey, a teaspoon of honey, give that a good stir, and a lemon, which you're gonna slice in half. And now, don't forget to clean that knife after you used it, because this is a hand-forged knife and you don't want to mess it up by leaving on all that lemon juice. Now squeeze that lemon and get all that juice in that whiskey. Give it a good stir, stick in a twig of mint, and that's a cocktail and a basting sauce at the same time. Whoa. And all I need to do now is brush this nice cocktail onto our beef and let it brighten up that whole dish. Just make sure you get it on each and every last little piece. This is gonna make our beef rib fingers extremely tasty, and it's gonna brighten them up, mix it very well with that ginger. And that oak flavor from the whiskey is gonna pair real well with the smoke. Time to take them off and let them rest. Remember, these are sitting at a temperature of 92 degrees Celsius. Almost fall apart tender, and they're extremely hot, so we just gotta wait for them to cool down a little bit.
Beef rib fingers. Last time we had beef rib fingers on the show, I was sick at home. I've been waiting for months. Here we go.
That is really good.
Beautiful spices,
It is smoky, it's tender, it's juicy,
so much smoke ring, so easy to make. A hint of the lemon flavor.
but most of all, you get those bright flavors from that barbecue rub, followed up by that lemon whiskey flavor.
I like this, I love this.
She's been waiting for this all day. Well, for 4.5 hours. She's been sitting by that grill, just waiting for this to come off. And I love the crust that we built. It's nice and dry on the outside and juicy on the inside, and that's what I'm looking for. This barbecue food has, I was thinking about the word pizzazz.
What?
Think about it. Come up with a new word. Delicious. Gorgeous. Amazing. What's the right word? Thank you for watching this video. If you like this recipe, then don't go to our website, PitmasterX.
Don't go.
No, go.
Go.
Go now. The video's over. Do it. Click the link down below. See you guys next time. Until then, eet smakelijk.
Keep on grilling. You gotta click this video. You gotta click it. Or click on the recipe.